Ryan Murphy, we wouldn't be probably sitting here. We probably might not know each other, although we just found out we have a mutual friend, but we might not know each other were it not for him. And I remember when he told me that you were doing that show with him, and he was so thrilled. And was that the vibe you got from him from the moment? Like, how did it happen? Did he actually call you, or did it go through?
No, I called him. I wanted to talk to him about doing the show. And
doing that show?
Yeah, about doing Horror Story. I love this show, and I wanted to get into acting, you know, after years of not doing it. I never got a job as an actress when I was in New York, so I moved on to music.
You got a job in music?
Yeah, I got a job in music. But
good job.
A great job that I love so much. But
Yeah.
I missed being an actress because I loved studying acting, and I loved theater, and I loved being with actors and working with actors. So I told him I wanted to, you know, do something on this show, and then he said yes. He was so excited right away, and it ended up being a wonderful, amazing role and a you know, huge partnership with him and all of you now.
Well, so here's the question, really. And you know, your fans around the world may get very angry at me and send me dead things in boxes.
They better not.
Is Gaga a character? Meaning, I'm asking because Elton John is like a doting dad of babies and seems to like gardening and riding around on a nice boat. Like, is it a construction for you to be able to perform as that? Because your name is Stephanie, and I even asked today, am I gonna, like, where is that within the work you do? Because obviously the Countess wasn't
Me.
Obviously.
Well, you know that I'm not like the Countess because you know me in real life, you know? But I guess the thing is that what I am as Gaga really is, at this moment, what other people think Gaga is. It's not necessarily what I am entirely, because even if I feel like Gaga, you know, meaning this stronger individual person of myself that I discovered being young in New York, loving music, meeting with young artists, working with musicians, with writers, studying this scene and being involved in the lifestyle. I started to call myself Gaga after people called me Gaga, and it was the sort of nickname that I had for me at my best.
But it's a bit of a creation, though, on some level.
It is a bit of a creation, but I think actually at this point now, it's other people that have created, through what I have made, their perception of what Gaga is as a separate entity from me.
But being an actor is obviously being you.
Yes, I'm not Gaga when I'm when I'm playing a role.
Right. So for me, I am less and less interested in pretending to be other people. Right. The older I get, I am much more interested in being who I am. But when I was younger.
So what does that mean for you as an actress?
Well, you talked about studying and okay, when we just sat down, we made a joke about Robert Durst, and you said that you had studied his wife.
And
him.
Both of them, yeah.
For the Countess.
Yes.
Now, how much of that process do you talk about? Do you include other people in? How much of it is just your process? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever happens on the screen, it is a collaboration between writing, wardrobe, props, people, technicians, and then your work.
Yeah. So what I would say is what I am at any given moment is some sort of amalgamation of myself, Stephanie, the young Italian-American girl from New York that's an actress and a songwriter and a rebel. And another part of me is what I'm creatively interested in at the time with music, and how that culture and lifestyle and the art that arose out of that is influencing me as I'm sort of reading it and writing music. And then if I'm playing a character at the same time as that, I also am that as well. So I live a lifestyle of sort of endless relentless love for making my work. And that in every way informs me as a person all the time. So it's a quite difficult thing for me to answer because I am entirely Stephanie and I'm entirely Gaga, but I'm also was entirely the Countess when I
But you do research.
Yeah, I did research, and the research that I did was all the time, every day. I would watch Robert Durst in The Jinx, and his wife, Deborah Durst, and I would sort of, study the sort of practical nature in which he was devious and evil. It's like, well, I wrote it in block letters because the block letters, if they're just block letters, nobody can tell what they are, and he just has this extremely practical way of explaining how he's going to conceal the fact that he's, dumped a body in a river and kept it in his house and cut up his best friend. But when he's explaining to you I was drunk and I was high and I thought, what am I gonna do with this body? I gotta cut it up. It's like I had to go to the store. I was gonna make a sandwich, so I had to get the bread and then I had to pick up the ham. I mean, it's so kind of practical. So I let that inform me as the Countess because I naturally, if I was going to take a guy home and fuck him and then eat him, I wouldn't know exactly, how to do
Which
that.
order?
Well, I know which order I might have to do it in. Well, for the Countess, though,
right.
that order is debatable, right? Because she's sort of into that like romance as well, necromance. So, I had to really kind of inject that total functional nature of life into being a killer. And that's just naturally not what I am.
No.
So, but during that time, I became a lot more wild and crazy and matter of fact about things, and my who I am as an artist and person changed. So, I guess I don't know how to fully answer your question because I'm all those things.
No, but you did.
I was afraid you'd think this was too much.
Oh, you mean the dress? The night out on the town? This nightcap? You know I'm gay.
I'm not stupid. We're destined for something much more intimate.
I was once on the jury at the Cannes Film Festival, and I remember feeling that I had to be smarter and better than I was. Somehow being surrounded by this tremendous amount of talent, being writers and directors and filmmakers and actors and fashionistas, and I felt very little and insecure. And I ran into Terry Gilliam, who is a filmmaker and very interesting guy. And I remember talking to him there, and he asked me what I was doing. I said, well, I really feel like I should be doing more and I should really be focusing and much more serious about my work. And he looked at me and he said, why don't you stop trying to be such a fucking good actress and just do what you're fucking good at?
Yeah.
And there was something so freeing where I don't have any skill set. I never studied, really. I studied with an acting teacher once who I worked with him. I went to his house, Alan Rich, fantastic actor and teacher. And I remember we did a scene. I sat opposite him like we are. We finished it. And he looked at me and he said, okay, well, you know how to be other people. So now your entire job is read, study art, listen to music, take photographs. I'm a photographer. Immerse yourself in art. You know how to pretend to be somebody else, because pretending to be somebody else has never been difficult for me.
Right.
That's why I think I was asking about that character of
Yes.
a performer, because I used to play secretary at my house and have hour-long sessions.
Well, there's something easier about that. You must have in some way felt so liberated by being the secretary. There was something about it that gave you a sense of place.
But it felt like somehow it was easy for me, was a pejorative, that it shouldn't be easy. And of course, there are tremendously talented actors who I revere, who rip their guts out every time they work. and the work is extraordinary, but they're also extraordinary people who just get up in the morning and go do their work.
Well, God bless you.
Well, but for me,
Seriously.
it's that easy.
That's
To me, the only
amazing.
goal for me is to be in some sort of a flow where I'm not in my head.
Yeah.
If I had to learn something technical for a job, I've learned the technical side of it and then forget
let it
about
go.
it. And then
Yeah.
at some point when I pull the gun, it's going to look like I know how to pull a gun
Right.
because I've learned the technique. But the rest of it, I know rappers can rap, you know, very freely. And I feel like when I work, that's what I'm doing. I know that's, people
Yeah.
are going to be like, I hate sororities and I hate you. For years, I've seen the damage these so-called sisterhoods have had on young girls.
Do you think you like to munch box because your last name is Munch, or is that just a coincidence?
First of all, I'm not a lesbian.
Ryan used to, we used to always talk about that.
You
on
mean Ryan
set.
Murphy?
Ryan Murphy. We would talk about that on set because that's how I really understood how to be an actress on film. And just in general, I mean, even though I've done theater and stuff, you know, it was like I had to really go, okay, I was doing the opposite of what you just said. I said, okay, I need to go back to my skill set, to my technique and Stanislavski and Strasberg. I need to go back to sense memory. And that was a process. I threw the sense memory out after like a couple weeks because it wasn't working in the same way. And then I found it again. So like I rehearse things actually in a totally different way, but then I throw them out once I get to set. So I'll rehearse in my trailer, for example, like if there's one moment in the scene where I'm supposed to cry, right? I'll rehearse the thoughts that I need to have in order to feel in that moment, or have the thought that will then maybe inspire me to cry. So I have to plan out the thoughts I'm going to have, and then I rehearse that. And sometimes I cry, and sometimes I don't. And then you go to set, and as long as you have your lines down, I just like throw it out the window. I did that already, and then it's just me and Matt Bomer.
Because I watched every episode of your show with Ryan Murphy, American Horror Story Hotel.
Gold stars for JB.
I'm going to get something in my trailer at the
Yes,
end of the
you
day.
are.
And I noticed that. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I was watching someone with technique. I didn't see it. And I think you can see it in some work. And then of course there are people like Sarah Paulson who your jaw drops.
It's unreal.
Or
It's
Laurie
unreal.
Metcalf.
Yeah.
Your jaw just,
Yeah.
you go, what?
Yeah, and working with him, I mean, I can't wait to work with you. I haven't got to work with you yet. I think I hopefully will get to.
Well, I'll talk to Ryan Murphy, about making that happen.
On maybe
Scream Queens, shooting in Los Angeles.
California.
Thank you, God! Sorry. I liked New Orleans. I had a wonderful time. But
Oh my God, with the nose scratch.
Well,
he was like
no,
Robert Durst,
no,
you know.
no, I'm not.
He starts
That's his
to
tell.
he starts burping.
I know,
when
that
he's
little
lying.
irping that he did. By the way, my husband has said, how come there isn't a female character who does that?
I know.
Who just sort of burps.
I didn't want to steal it. I didn't want to steal
Oh, it
it.
would have been so
No.
amazing.
Yeah, but I know, but I didn't want to steal it. I should have stolen
Well,
it.
I would have loved it.
What I wanted to ask you
Yes. Lady Gaga.
is that how do you get through a scene when, for me, if I'm in a scene and I put myself there and I'm in that moment, there is not one time when I'm in that scene where I should be ever thinking about if I'm doing a good job or not.
Right.
Because I'm just, right in there. But when that happens, when you get just so tired or the hours get so late that it's almost just impossible not to be aware of the fact that you're shooting, what do you do? Does that mean I'm not getting it when that's happening, or am I still getting it?
Well, my experience will tell you that it's probably you're getting it better. Because people will often, I watch golf. I play golf now. I watch golf with my husband. We're married for a long time. We watch golf together. And
Am I going to get there about the golf?
Yes.
Okay.
Super fun, by the way. My nickname is the Hammer.
Not ready for the golf.
But a golfer won last week, and he was sick. And he'd been battling a flu all week. And people talked about it all week. And he said, you know, somehow, because I was sick and wanting to do a good job, and I'm more focused on it than I normally am, he won. I think when you're tired or when you feel like maybe it's not happening is when it's really happening. And the great thing is it's not your job to know. You know, for someone
That's what
like
Evan
yourself.
Peters always would say to me on set.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But it's the gift he gave you, because you are the mistress of your life.
Craft, yeah.
You know, your craft, your creation, your music, your art. You are the mistress of it.
Right.
And there's not a hair that moves that you don't,
not
on some
intend.
level, control.
Right.
Being an actor, you have to let go of it. And so ultimately, the greatest gift is letting go. And when you're tired or the hours have gotten ridiculous, that's when, in fact, you have to ultimately trust, because it's a trusting collaboration. You have to trust the director or the creator, Ryan Murphy, or the actor. But we don't, you know, ultimately, how many actors have you met who, after we do this, will go back to the director and say, were you close on me when Gaga was where we're starting to think in the middle of it, ooh, are they on me at this moment? So, or
we know before.
did I like
yeah.
take two better than take three?
right.
And when you're mentally there, somehow that's not our job.
Yeah.
And I've learned it over the years to just sort of leave the work on the set.
Yeah.
Leave it with the other people, and feel like as long as I was the open, creative person that I'm supposed to be today, whatever today. If you have a chance, read Marilyn Monroe's last published interview, where she talks about feeling sick and that you can't, you know, in art, you know, now she was notorious for being sick, of course, a drug addict, and very late to the game. You know, she was always very late. And all these pejoratives were always attached to her. But what was amazing about her was she said, what other art form do you create on a schedule? What other art form, any art form, writing, photography, where you say, we are going to shoot the love scene between Gaga and Jamie on Friday at 10 o'clock.
Right.
They are going to create that
thing.
And what if it's not there? What if
Right.
that moment of creation isn't happening?
Right.
In our business, unless you have a director who has a lot of money and time and he can go back to it, you have to. And so it's
to
a
be there.
forced creation, and there's a team of people creating that
beautiful.
moment. And when you see a moment in a movie that is so staggering, you realize the amount of dance that has created that forced creation moment. It really, it always humbles me and makes me understand how much I love a great performer when all of that can happen. And then, by the way, as you know, if you're going to shoot that scene between us here, we're shooting it wide right now, but you know and I know we're going to come back to it an hour and a half from now, and we're going to come in and just all the energy is going to be on you. Cameras are going to be on you, the light's going to be on you. You're going to have to recreate what happened between us.
Right.
And if it's emotional or if it's physical or if it's violent or if it's whatever it is the astonishing thing about being an actor, different than being a musician, where there are those moments that happen and it's extraordinary. And because you're newer at it and I'm older at it, I'm really going to look forward to watching when you get to do that more and more and more, and you will.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that, because that's, for me, what this was all about, is I just wanted to begin the process, you know?
Nice beginning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Adult beginner.
Thank you. I moved up in class with
Oh.
JV today to
No,
adult
no. I mean,
beginner.
it's
No,
a beautiful
it's-
beginning, but
It's true. It's something that is, you know, I guess I would like hearken it to working with a musician and writing a song together. You know, where you're in a room together and there's literally nothing there but two people and a bunch of instruments, and all of a sudden you look up and it sounds like a record that you've heard a million times. And it's that magic moment and that focus and that passion and that intention and that ability to give at a given moment in order to create that explosion. It's beautiful.
It's art.
It's beautiful. But, you know, and I just have to say that, you know, you in your underwear dancing in that bedroom in True Lies was my favorite scene, like in a movie for a very,
Can you imagine?
very long time.
Can you imagine?
I mean, how
All I did the day I got that job was call and find out how many weeks I had before I had to do that.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And it was only like 2.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, as a young woman, it made a major impact on me, because you were so strong and so sexy, but so not in a way that's owned by men, or, you know, it was so kind of fearless and
yet,
within.
you know, that movie and that scene in particular took a big hit because it was manipulated by men. There was a bit of a backlash that he would force that on his wife, that he would force that. Now, I think she took full ownership of it, and I loved watching her take full ownership. And believe me, I will tell you this. Jim Cameron is a very talented man. James Cameron, the director of True Lies, is a very talented man. He wrote that. It's a very funny script. He can do every job on a movie better than any crew person ever could do. There's one thing he cannot do, and that's act and dance.
Wow.
And so
You were there to
he
do that.
loves actors. And so I felt the love of his,
Right.
like I trusted that he trusted that I could do this.
Right.
And do whatever it is that came to me.
Yeah.
But he can't dance, and so there was no rehearsal, none. He had no idea what was going to happen. None of us did. He had a camera, like that, you know, on a dolly. There were 100 people in the room, and it was truly, there was that moment where I remember saying, "Huh, okay,
I'm about to do this.
and what's
Yeah.
about to happen?" And then let it happen,
Yeah.
and ultimately let her own it, let
You
her
did.
control it.
You totally did. But
But
that's
at the beginning, of course, she's not. You know, she's very nervous.
yeah. But I mean,
It was good.
it was so good, and I mean,
you.
it was so good, and it's my favorite, I think. You know, in terms of love, you know,
Well, it was an amazing part.
it's, I mean, a love scene or whatever you would call it, like that. I mean, for me, I mean, I think, how many love scenes did I do in the Horror Story? Like
100.
100. But I, you know, I took them really seriously, and people would, you know, make jokes like, "Oh, what's it like for your family, you know, or your boyfriend to see
Wait
you do
till
that?"
you have children.
Yeah, well, I said to them, I said, "You know what? You try to do that. You try to have sex with someone that you don't know that well, and, you know, or fake sex with someone you don't know that well in front of, you know, 30 people holding lights in a thong, covered in diamonds and a wig, and then have to slit their throat, drink their blood." I mean, I said it's and make it look different every time. I said, because this woman's been alive over 100 years. You know, she knows how to make love. So I had to figure out how to each time make it different and make it interesting, and also have her be completely in charge. So I was, you know, you were also one of the things that I studied.
Oh, thanks.
I can't believe you turned him. He's a stupid, trashy model.
And you were a pathetic addict dying on a filthy floor.
I guess the question that inquiring minds want to know is fame. Now, you're as famous a person as I could ever imagine there being. I just can't imagine there's someone more famous than you. And you've been famous now for a long time. My fame, I'm obviously on a TV show now, and so I'm somewhat, the term would be ubiquitous. I've done commercials for years and years and years, utilizing my notoriety to sell products for companies. It's how I've supplemented my income. But you've been famous as an artist for a very long time. But you also, it seems, control your environment of that art very carefully and with a lot of thought and with a good team of people and people you trust. Yes?
Yes. So
Do you?
wonderful.
So ultimately, did that fame that you seem to have wanted and got, do you find it isolating? Is fame isolating for you? It's isolating for me. I don't like it, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could think of a single thing that's more isolating than being famous.
But yet we both sought it. We didn't seek the fame, we saw the
you
art.
know, I know it's almost impossible for people even to probably even look at my career and the things I've done and think, oh, she didn't want, you know, of course she wanted to be famous, of course she wanted all that attention, you know, but, you know, it's just, creative expression is what I am. And I would have been doing this whether I became famous or not. I still would be doing what I do. What I'm saying is I wouldn't have given up to try to get famous in another way. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to get a job being creative, and I did. And I think the hardest thing for me is that I love people so much. And it is very hard to not be able to engage with people in a real and honest way.
Because they want.
Because they either want something from me.
They want something.
Or they see me as something that I simply am not. I am not some goddess that dropped down from the sky to sing pop music. I'm not some extra incredible human person that needs to be told how wonderful they are all day and kissed and told how incredible. I don't need any of that. Truly, my purpose on this earth is to make people happy and heal people through music. That's what I am to do, to create fantasies that allow people to not just escape, but to see that there is the potential for magic in life
And
at any given moment.
to make social change with that
Yes,
art and magic.
and that is my true purpose
Which is what happened with that song.
Thank you.
I mean, that song in particular.
But fame is the price for those
I
things.
understand, but so the isolation of it.
Yes, it is hard. It is, and
But
I know it's hard for you too.
Well, but see, I choose a very private life.
But my life is private now.
Right, and I walk, well, if I say where I walk, then they'll follow me, but I mean, I walk alleys. I go through.
I try to
avoid it.
I try to.
I try to avoid it.
And I
at
wear
all
wigs
costs.
now, and
You
I
wear
go out.
yeah.
I go out without, covering myself now, which is really fun and super liberating, and also kind of infuriating that I have to not be myself in order to have a good time. But I think that it's important for people to hear from us that, for us to be great at what we do, I would love more than anything when I meet people to just have a normal exchange with them, more than my picture taken or a selfie.
But that's what the problem is, that we've become digitalized. We've become these. The new version of the autograph is the selfie, which is, when I'm on selfie duty, there's nobody better at taking them, and I grab the phones out of their hands. I'm like, here, ba 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 ba. But ultimately, it is, and it's been talked about forever. It is a piece of property. There is some idea that is some evidence that they have met you and taken a moment with you, like taken digitally
Yes, and
a
you know,
moment.
actually, when you decide to take a picture, do you realize the moment has just died?
Oh, of course it is.
You just killed it. It
Well,
was
but
happening, and then you stopped it.
Well, it's how many
To take
people
a
at your
picture.
concerts where all it is they're just like this. I see these pictures at concerts where everybody's just like
It's a moment
this.
of total disconnection.
Because
you go
they're
from
not
being
there.
enthralled to going, oh no,
But they're
I
not
need to
there
have
with
that.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not having the moment of listening to your music.
No.
They're capturing this
Yes.
moment.
Yes, and that, and you know, I just, you know, I think that I hope through, you know, the more work that I do and the more that I create, that I can, you know, be a part of changing that, not just for myself, but for, you know, other artists, and that we can all, you know, support each other and, you know, changing fame culture a bit as well, and hopefully inspiring people to see that, like, we are real people that just love to.
Yeah, I think you can make the change in the culture the way you have with your art. I don't think we can then kind of turn it back on itself and say we now need to change the actual fame culture. I think you can change the song as an example of the profound amount of change that can come from art. I think in our lifetime, somehow that's not going to change.
I'll make a bet.
Okay, I'm betting with Lady Gaga on
Make a
national
bet.
television.